Okay. Thank you guys for joining. So, overall, today's agenda is all about commissions. We have a commissions application. I'm going to show you the application. If you purchase the commissions feature with Benelinx, you will get access to the commissions app. We'll talk through that. It's agency-based pricing. It's not per user, it's per agency. Then obviously with that app, we assign users and permissions to get additional access to the application. There's some custom objects that are related to tracking and managing our commissions that are not available with the agency management. And some of the features, additional features like importing features, and then obviously reconciliation. So that's kind of everything you get with the agency or the commissions application. Main components is we're going to be able to track your agency comp, right? Your commissions or fees at the policy and or service level. So we can do it, but not just on the policy level, but also at the service level, and it can be fee based. So we've opened that up a little bit so that you have more availability to track your comp if you are having some type of a fee-based compensation, which happens more and more often. In addition, we have the ability for us to take the revenue received from your carriers or service providers and split those for your producers. And we've got some additional new features on how we can do that and a lot of variability. So we've made that much more robust. We also have the ability to track expected versus realized revenue. So if you choose to add that feature, then you can set your estimated commissions that's coming from the carriers. What is your expected revenue and compare that to your realized so that for auditing purposes, you get closer to budgeting and projections on your expected revenue. And then of course our visibility in our analytics is really important, right? We're putting all this in for reconciliation, but also for projections, for analytics, for understanding what's our growth, what changes have we seen over the past year? Are we close to our expected, right? Versus our realized, finding missing commissions, etc. So managing our revenue and reports and dashboards are a critical component. So for those that are on this today that had the kind of the 1.0 version of the Benelinx commissions, this is kind of our 2.0. So we updated and made significant progress with this feature last year. So just for those that had and are migrating right now, I think there's several clients that agencies that we have that had the older system that are moving to the new. What's changed? So kind of high level. We've added a statement object. So we had payouts and commission payments. We've now added the statement so that when we load a statement, it creates a single record per statement. And all those commission entries, or used to be called payouts, are underneath that. So one Anthem statement, every row becomes a commission entry, and then our splits go beyond that. So really important for us to start at that level. We added that in. We've had to rewire a bunch of stuff on the import to accommodate that statement record, but it's a really important object. We'll show you. Obviously, we also renamed some of our objects. We had payouts. Now they're called commission entries, commission payouts. Now they're called commission payments. So we've renamed, hopefully didn't confuse you, but trying to get a little bit more in line with standard naming conventions. And then also a really big change from 2025 was prior to this change, we tracked and managed our producers and their comp directly on the policy record. So if you remember at the bottom of all the policy records, there would be producer one, two, three, four, what was their percentage or value, and then what was the actual percentage that they were paid. There were a lot of limitations with obviously having up to four. What if we had five? What if we had variability? What if I don't want everybody to see that comp? So we moved that for the newer folks onto a record of its own. So it's a record related to our policies so we can manage better the visibility. We have unlimited ability to create a variety of schedules now so that we can have multiple producers, we can have internal, external agencies, kind of limitless to have now a related record to our policy versus fields on the policy, right? Fields on the policy is what we used to have. Now we have a record called payment schedules, which is our producer splits or comp for our producers, and that now is related to our policy. It's a record related to. So it's a pretty big shift. But it's also really opened up the possibilities of us tracking and managing that producer comp. Before we get too far into the presentation, I also want to make two announcements. Big changes coming. So we've made this 2.0 version. 3.0 is coming, again. We're working on it right now. So two really important announcements. One coming from an integration that we're adding. We're working with Commissions Department Carrier Connection for those people that are working with that vendor. It's a third-party vendor. Commission department does a lot of things, but one of the things they do is the carrier connection where they're able to go and grab commission statements from the carrier portals. And we are going to be we are right now working on the integration. So we're going to connect with that. The most important component for us working with them is that not only are they grabbing those statements, but they are transitioning those statements into electronic format, even if they're PDF. That's going to be important change. Right. So if you connect to the carrier connection and this integration is added to the Benelinx commissions, then all statements, including PDFs, will be transitioned into an electronic format. They are taking care of that responsibility, and they're also normalizing the statements. So there will be more consistency in what is pulled into Benelinx at the statement level. And so that will actually greatly improve the efficiency of the system, but also the ease of being able to get those statements moved over. So that's coming in 2026. We're excited about that integration. We had several current agencies that had recommended and requested that, and there was enough volume that we said, yes, it's time. Plus, I think it'll help with the process, which is the most important, right? Always looking at how we can help standardize and improve, make things more efficient, streamline processes, less manual entry, all those important things, which is our motto, right? In addition, we're also going to be changing and adding an opportunity to reconcile statements from our import in the system. So right now, if you're aware, you go to load a statement, and if there are discrepancies on the policy level, what is in the system versus what's on the statement, it will give you a list of errors to reconcile prior to importing the statement. So coming soon, we're going to allow then the statements to be loaded. Any policy records that are in the system and can easily be imported will, and then there'll be like an error management dashboard. So you'll be able to see what didn't get imported. It'll create a shell of a record for those errors instead of an error list, right? It'll actually import what it can. It'll give you records that did not get imported correctly, and you'll be able to reconcile those within the system. So if you think about, a statement that has 500 entries and 10 errored out, right? The 490 will load. Immediately, you'll get an error dashboard and you'll be able to go through the 10 that didn't. It'll still create the records. It'll just have the missing information highlighted. You'll be able to reconcile it within the system, and then it'll update the statement totals when it creates those commission entries. So really important. Again, feedback from our clients, our other agencies, partners that this is needed, and it also help with volume. So two big changes coming, but all of this is always kind of progress towards, progress and improvements. Okay. So today we're going to go through, I'm going to just kind of break down the core features, right? So how can we manage and track? Where do we start with tracking and managing our revenue? It's all about the products and services we're selling, right? So policies and services is the foundation. We have to have policies and services records in the system for us to track our revenue. Otherwise, we're tracking against nothing, right? We can't reconcile without having those entries in the system. So, and we're going to go through each one of those, and I'm going to show you the required fields that are going to be needed for us to start this process. I mentioned the commission or the payment schedules. This is, once we load a statement and we have every line item is going to create a commission entry. That is the receivable from the carrier. You may get a policy, it's a medical, you receive $100, right? From there, then the system can split out that $100. If you have a producer that brought in that business, then you can split that out. Those are payment schedules. So what is the split? How much is the producer receiving? And what is the aging of the policy? Do they get paid the same amount forever? They get paid a slightly different amount depending on the age of the policy, first year, second year, third year renewal, etc. That's where that payment schedule, it's a new object for those that have been using the Benelinx system, and how it's going to track and manage the aging of and know how to pay those producers correctly. We can also add agencies, internal, external. So a lot of variability there. We'll talk about how we get those created, how you can assign those to our policies and our services. And then our commission estimates, if we want to track expected versus realized, right? So we have the ability now at the carrier level, the carrier account level, is to create our estimated commissions. That is your contract with the insurance company. If it's United Healthcare and it's medical large group, what is the expected revenue? Is it a $5 percentage of premium? Is it a 30 PEPM? Is it a complex graded over time? So availability of building those out, and then we can assign those to our policies. All of this has to get done before we post commissions, right? Then we have the process of posting commissions. Once we do that, then all of the variability and all that information gets carried forward. So we'll walk through kind of the process and the layering and the order of execution for it all to be a success. We talked about this a little bit. So policies, we're going to talk through the required fields. What is the bare minimum? Where do we have some challenges? What is it looking for? How do we audit within the policies when we're first bringing in the commissions into our system versus monthly when we're posting commissions monthly and reconciling? Making sure we have the right fields for our producer payments too, right? I just mentioned a little bit about the aging of a policy, our system. As long as we renew our policies correctly, talk a lot about that renew clone policy button, the system will track that correctly for us. And then obviously our commission estimates. All of this lives at the policy record level. So everything starts at the policy. And then if we have all this set correctly, right, then we go post commissions and all the automation happens where we import the statement that creates commission entries, splits out the producer's payments based on that, and then tracks and manages are estimated against what we have already added into our policy level. So um, from there, I'm going to show you how to build the payment schedules, right? This is how much our producers are getting paid, and we can talk through the order. It's a lot of variability here. And then the assignment. So as far as we can get today, we'll go through, spend a lot of time at the policy level. We need to reconcile, make sure we've got and audited our policies. Once we have our policy information correct, then we go and we make sure we have our payment schedules created and assigned. There's a mass update capability for us to assign and unassign those schedules to our policies. A plus B, we can pull some reports. I'll show you what that looks like. And then we can move forward with our statement mappings. Most people are familiar with the ability for us to be able to load a commission statement. So a lot of the dependencies in the way that our system is today, right, is that we receive or you guys receive the commission statements from the carriers. Every carrier statement is different. They label their fields and how they're tracking and managing the commissions in their system slightly different. They may have additional information. Some statements have less than others, some have more. And so we have to map those. So Anthem statement looks different than United, than Mutual of Omaha, than, Principals. So we do a mapping right now in our system that'll just take a sample and it'll map in. So when I go to load a United Healthcare statement, I grab the mapping of United Healthcare, and then I can load those statements and it knows how to recognize those fields in our system. So this is for those folks that already have our system in place, the commissions, this is the same. We have the availability. We've added some additional features here as well. So we're opening this up a little bit and making it more available for those. We'll talk through the auditing. And if we get to the point, then we'll, like I said, then the act of actually importing statements and reconciliation, which probably will end up being something we deal with. We go through on the next session. Okay. So I'm going to use my notes here for us to get a kind of firsthand view of. So if I back into this again, when I look at purchasing the commissions feature, some folks purchase the commissions app, some do not. If you purchase it, it's agency based, like I said, and you would get access to then the commissions app in addition to your agency management app. Okay. Within that app, you can see then we assign users to that. Doesn't matter how many users you want to assign to this based on permissions, they would have then the visibility into. Just like on our agency management, we have kind of left to right, we have our executive dashboard, which is just a sample of some of the reports that we can pull in from our commissions as we enter and upload and reconcile. This is a sample so we can update it. We have started then with most of our new training we've added in. We have a lot of reports in our system, a lot of samples and a lot of templates. We started building out a custom folder for our clients to put in then some reports so we can pull them from our samples, pull them in here, and then it gives quick access. So people that are using the system don't have to rifle through all the samples to find what they want. We're giving you samples right here. Okay. And then as we go through the list, we've got other ways that we can track and manage, right? So other tabs. I'm going to walk you through that. So we can do our mappings, like I mentioned. So we'll walk through. I do my mappings. I have a history of all the different carriers and the mappings that I've already pre-created during onboarding. The onboarding team builds out these mappings for you. The ability to upload statements. We actually have three different options. We have manual if we need to post commissions statement manually. And we'll walk through that in the next session on how to do that. That is, if we don't have an electronic statement, right? If I have a PDF, can't get electronic statement, then we have to manually post them. Not ideal, but it allows us to still get that recognize that revenue in the system. We also can then upload a statement. We also have a third option, which is the large statement upload. So we have the ability to do that as well. So again, getting larger clients, getting larger agencies that are using the system, we need to make sure that we can accommodate, high volume, like we're talking 150 entries, or 150,000. So that's massive amount of data that we've added so that we can accommodate one statement having that much volume. Visually, though, when we look at additional objects I mentioned that you get access to, obviously, if you have the commissions app and you purchase that for the agency. Statements was the new one, where I'll walk through how this now creates a singular record with a summary of a statement that is loaded. You can see the details here, as well as then related to that every one of our entries. So this is one statement per when I upload creates the singular record, and then every row or line item creates a commission entry. And we'll talk through a little bit more about the additional fields that we've added to each one of these objects. And then beyond that, when we go into a commission entry, we have our producer splits. So you can see here example of that. We have our agency versus our producer. And it's grabbing that payment schedule, which is a change, and it's determining, is it first year, second year, what is the percentage, and doing those calculations. So I mentioned this in the outline. All of the items that we're going to talk through to prepare you to load statements, right? So there's some auditing that happens when we first turn on the commission feature, but then there's going to be reoccurring auditing that is going to be required every month before you start posting commissions, right? We may have new policies that were sold. We may have producers that have left. We may have reshuffled the deck, right? So there's going to be not only on the initial auditing, which is a big process of cleanup to get us ready to post commissions, but part of the monthly process to run a few reports, make sure we're aligned, and we've got our policy set, our payment schedules assigned, then we can move forward with the statement import. The layering effect of how this is all organized is statement, one record, multiple commission entries, that's the receivable from the carrier, and then our commission payments, which is the splits. How much of that $100 or $200 Are we sharing with our producers that they're getting a percentage of? Okay. In addition, we have our payment schedules. This is again the new object where we're able to create a schedule and we're going to be able to define who our payees are. Is it one person? Is it many people? As I can go back here, I can even see I want to split it between maybe an internal producer and external agency. I can do that, and there's a lot of variability. Again, this is a record now that is going to be assigned and related to our policies versus fields on the policy page. But we're going to be able to get the visibility here. We're going to be able to see, we're going to be able to create new payment schedules. We're also going to have the ability to assign those. And we've got some audit reports that are really helpful for that. So custom objects go beyond just loading, right? And how the system splits all those out. We also have the ability to manage and maintain our payment schedules, as well as see our commission estimates. And again, if we're going to be going in and we want to track what is our expected versus our realized, then we have to have our commission estimates built out, and those are related to our carriers. So building those out typically happens once, and we can have multiple. Obviously, if we're selling multiple products, we have multiple markets. So building out those estimates, and then assigning them to the policy, but giving that visibility of those objects here. One thing I always want to mention, because I think people may or may not be aware of this, is that when we go in and we go into a separate app, okay? So for most of you, you guys have the agency management app already. You may even have sales, and now you're adding your commissions app, okay? It's the same database. It's not like other systems where you go into a different app and it takes you into a whole different database. That's not how Salesforce works. So when we talk about applications, it's really important to know that we're still living within the same database. And the important part of that I always want to bring up is that a lot of times when people go in and they're looking at, okay, I've got all my commission details, I've got my commission objects here, but I need to go find my policy level information. There is a tendency to go, okay, I'm going to go back to my agency management app. I'm going to go find my policies here. And now I'm going to reconcile my policy information, and then I have to go back to my commissions app. We do not have to do that, okay? So the visibility is universal, same system. So we don't want to do that. What we want to do instead is that we can add in to our app launch or our navigation bar any object that we want to see from here, right? Versus have to pivot back around. We don't need to pivot back through a different app to see objects that predominantly live in the agency management space or even the sales space, right? Just simply add them to your navigation bar. And now within the commissions app, I have the visibility I need of those objects that are being shared in the other apps. So really, I think important to note that is that we just simply add it. Now we can see it. In addition, when we open up one of these policies, you'll see that we have lightning pages. We talked a lot about this in the last couple sessions, right? Lightning pages can be assigned at the app level. So you can see right here, while I can see the same policy that my agency management app, my general users have access to, when I actually open up a policy record in the commissions app, I actually have additional tabs here, which is great. So your accounting, your finance, your internal, your operation folks, right? Not only don't have to pivot back to the agency management app to see those policies, they actually have more visibility into some of those custom objects that you get when you purchase the commissions feature with Benelinx. So I can go into the policy and now I can see inversely, do I have a payment schedule assigned? Do we have any commission entries that have been posted? And even see those payment splits. Okay, so it's equal to and even greater, right? So I don't have to pivot. I can actually go into those policy records. And in addition to that, because these lightning pages have a different, right? They're lightning pages enabled that are different with the commission side. I actually have additional information I have visibility into. So important to know. Okay, so let's start at the base level where everything starts, like I said, is either at the policy and or the service level. That is our bread and butter, right? That's where we're generating our revenue from. What products did we sell? Did we sell policies, insurance contracts, and or did we sell services that we're getting comped on, right? And we can track fees against those services. So let's talk about what are the requirements for us to make sure we have all of our policy level details set correctly for us to successfully, when we get to uploading our statements, everything flows through, right? I upload a statement, I have to have my policy set, I have to have my policy information correct. Then it's going to then track and create those commission entries, and it's going to split those producers comps and even track our estimated commissions. So all lives at the policy level, right? So bare minimum requirements, our system is going to look first and foremost at our carrier policy number. This is what I tell all of my onboarding clients is the social security number of your policy, right? It is the unique identifier that the insurance company has given this policy for them to manage and maintain the revenue tracking, how much they're paying you. So they have decided what that unique identifier is. It's unique, meaning it is like no other, right? It's going to be unique to this policy and to this client. And they determine that policy ID. Okay. The carrier policy number field is ours. This is a Benelinx field. And the dependency is that this field has to match what's on the commission statement. Some feedback we get from some clients is that it may or may not be the same on what's on the statement than what the average user is looking at, your account managers and account executives. So a solution to that is we can create a secondary policy number and relabel this one a commission policy number. We have some clients that do that. It's totally fine. We have two different identifiers, one that's for the back end, one that's for the front end. Not a problem at all. This field that's ours has to be the one that's used to post commissions, however. So we can rename, we can even hide. We have some agencies where they say, you know what, our finance team is just going to put that information in. We don't even want the front end users to see it. And again, when I have this policy open on the agency management side, because it's a separate Lightning page, I as an AE may not even see that field. So it may or may not be visible. What you're seeing here is one field. We can make it two if we need to, but that policy number is unique and it is identified and is defined by the carrier. We do not have control over that, right? And so for us to be able to successfully upload an entire statement, that has to match what's on the commission statement, right? So we've added some variability to make it a little bit easier for folks if we need to concatenate the policy number. And we also have the ability to be able to truncate. That's coming in the next month, so we'll be able to truncate. Now, the risk that we run, right, when we make that a little bit more flexible is that the identifier might be posting to the wrong policy. That's the risk we run, right? When we make that a little bit more flexible, but we've gotten enough feedback from folks that they want to make it a little more flexible. So it's going to be an option for you to be able to decide if you would like to or not. I'm just going to pull up my Anthem statement here. Okay. All right. So policy number, unique identifier. Most important, this has to match, right? As close as possible. Secondarily, our system looks at the policy type. So obviously building a policy record, we're not going to miss the policy type, medical, dental, vision. I will say, and I will caveat, however, that policy types, right, can be adjusted. When we go through onboarding, we talk about this a lot. The importance of setting and go, right? Set and go, don't change. Why? Because there's a lot of information and automation that is attached to these policy types. So if I go in tomorrow and change this, then it potentially messes up my mappings. It causes errors, right? Obviously, understanding if we didn't sell pet insurance and now we do, we may have to add some values, but we always emphasize the importance of spending a significant amount of time during onboarding. What policies do you sell or do you think you will sell, and how do we want to organize them? Do we want voluntary life and AD&D alone? Do we not? Do we want it separated, right? Then everything follows from that, right? And the mappings of our statements. So the importance of knowing if we move and change that we can potentially break some things, right? But identifying what type of policy is going to be really important. Life and AD&D being one of them. Do we separate them? Do we keep them together? So that should all be set during onboarding. However, if something changes, we need to adjust the dependency on making sure that we have these values set correctly on the back end, on the commission side, is also going to be important. But selecting that policy type. Carrier, is obviously a required field. It's not a required, minimum required dependency for us to post commissions. It's going to be looking at this unique identifier and the type. We have now some larger agencies where there could be an overlap, where the policy ID could be the same across Sun Life from Unum. So we have added that. So it can look, if we want it to our carrier if we run into those duplicates, right? Potential duplicates of policy numbers. Bare minimum, though, is carrier policy number and our policy type. As we scroll down at the bottom, other element of our commissions is our commission posted. This is used less and less. Again, clients coming off of our older system, migrating into the new one. This commission posted used to be required. It was kind of painful, to be honest. And so this is used less frequently. It's not looking, our automation is not looking to this checkbox as much as it used to. Okay. Doesn't mean no, not at all. I said not as much as it used to. So the really important component here is to determine in general, is this a commissionable policy? Most policies are. When would I uncheck this box? If I have 3 medical policies and I only want to post commissions to 1. The other 2, I'm going to manually uncheck this box. So I have a commissionable policy of the 3 I designate. The other 2 are not commissionable and it all rolls up. It depends on how the carriers pay you. If the carrier's commission statement shows every single medical policy, the HSA 5,000, the $1,000 deductible, and the 500, if they're paying you that way and they create a unique identifier, then those are all commissionable. If not, then we designate 1 because they're rolling it up 2 into 1. They're just saying you may have 3 medical, you may have 5. We're paying you 1 line item for all medical. Then you determine a commissionable medical policy and uncheck the boxes for the other 2 or 3 or 4. If we renew our policies correctly with our renew clone policy button, right? Then it will actually copy that forward. So if it's unchecked, it'll stay unchecked. If it's checked, it'll stay checked. So it's not going to be something that has to be done every single year. We set that up correctly the first time. Okay. So minimum required. Those are the three areas of the system that's going to pull in. Nice to haves. Okay, so let's talk about what is nice to have. Premium payable. We may have situations where the carrier is the insurer, right? This is the insurance company that is insuring this policy. You may be getting paid by a different company. Maybe it rolls up and it's an association, you get paid from a third party. This is where then you could differentiate between the insurance company and the billable carrier, essentially, right? Or billable partner. When I create a policy, the default will copy the carrier down here and we can change it if we need to. So nice to have. Keep that in mind that you can differentiate between the two. Okay. Other nice to have. So kind of bringing from our legacy system, when I go back to my account, if I've designated producers on my account and I go back to my policy, right? If I go back into my policy here, it's going to copy my producers forward for me. We kept that. It's going to maintain it. It actually is really helpful. If you have a very simple payment schedule, you got 1 or 2 or 3, it's going to copy it from the account down to the policy, and this will be searchable. So it's more for just visibility. It's not going to be as far as what the comp will be. So some of these fields will probably get deprecated over time, but it is nice to see, and that part of our old system still carries forward. If I put Rachel as a producer and I create new policies, it's going to copy those producers here. So that'll help us when I'm assigning that payment schedule now. That's how I'm going to make sure our people get paid. Okay. So bare minimum requirements at the policy level are the fields that we just noted and indicated. Okay. Second level would be, I'm gonna walk through how we can assign our payment schedule. So this is our producer splits. And again, it's a related record to my policy, and there's a way for us to mass assign and report on. Before I pivot away from the policy page, I also want to mention if we want to set our estimated commissions. I think I've got one already built here. Let's just go back to my account that already has it. Okay. So bare minimum for requirements for posting commissions. And as I scroll down, if we want to track our estimated, then this is where at the policy level we're going to assign. The way that this new feature works is we're going to be able to build all of our estimates attached to our carrier. I open this up, I'll show you how that looks. Okay, so this is already pre-built, Anthem Large Group Medical. Where do I get that? I go in at the carrier level. Because again, this is comp from each carrier. Each carrier, you may or may be able to negotiate different comp for different types of products, different markets, etc. And we can build those estimates here. I use the estimate button. So again, I may have many, many different types of estimates. Those don't change very often. So once it's in, it's done, right? For the most part, some slight variability if I add a new product line. But we can set those. We can decide what type of comp we have. We name them. We're going to get a little more sophisticated with this over time, where we're going to add some more variability where it'll filter a little bit more, but we label it. And then maybe this is a PEPM or PMPM, per member per month versus employee. We can set that. Maybe I'm going to get paid. What's a good amount? 35, maybe. Maybe that's old school. Okay. So we build out a variety of estimates. We build those out at our carrier level, right? So those have to be pre-built. Then when we pivot back to our policy, I'm going to go grab my policy here. Actually, it's right there. Now, when I go in and our users, our AEs, our AMs, most of the time, these are the folks that are going to be assigning and building out our policies. Then, depending on the carrier that I've designated, I'm only going to see those estimates for Anthem. And you can see I just added that one. So if it's small group, large group, it tells me that medical, it's only going to give me the options to select based off of large group, small group. And then when I save, cool thing is we assign it at the policy level and it does the math for us. Okay. Where is it pulling this information from? Well, it depends. If this is a PEPM, it's going to pull it in for my total employee. If it's a PMPM, it's going to pull from our members. If it's a percentage of premium, it's going to pull from our total premium. But the system does the calculations for us. Okay, so we get questions like, who's responsible for putting all this stuff in, right? Well, somebody has to. So it depends. Agency based, you may have a lot of the policy details are getting completed by the accounting team, but most of our clients, our agency partners, the account manager, account executives are responsible, right? They're the ones that know what's the total count. They're the ones that are pulling in the total premium, right? They're going to be able to, there's going to be a nice marriage. I always talk about how much I love agencies that use the commission because it's this connection with the back end and the front end, right? We've got our finance team working every month with the front end, the AEs and the AMs. And I don't think, and I believe this with every ounce of my soul, that there is anything wrong at all for your people to understand that the business side of your business a little bit, right? Where does this all come from? How does it all work, right? I don't think there's anything wrong with them being involved in that process. So a lot of times it's a marriage between the two. Who knows best about policies? It's the A's and AMs, right? It's the people that are selling it and they're getting that phone call from that client saying, I'm buying this plan, and confirming those rates. So they're getting that set. They're maintaining and managing that for you. Finance is making sure it's set correctly. And there is this dance that happens every month. There's no way around it, right? You sell new policies, you have clients come and go, right? And so there's this marriage that happens. But what happens, and the benefit of that, is there's a lot of shared knowledge between your finance, accounting, back end, front end folks, right? They're learning from each other. There's this tremendous amount of appreciation for both sides that happens, right? For both. Finance appreciates the A's and AMs, and AEs appreciates finance, right? Everybody's learning a little bit. But there's also then that support that's coming from the both sides, right? And the auditing of your system. If you're using our commissions app with your agency management, your system is more accurate. Your data is more accurate. If we don't have to, we won't. Commissions posting is going to require every single month for the front end to be accurate, right? We're auditing every month. If I have a commission statement and I get it from Anthem Blue Cross, here's an example of an old one that I had with my old clients. And a client has, let's go down here, vision. Here's the client. Here's the policy number. I go to load this statement and it's missing. There's no vision for the hub boulder. Guess what? Someone missed it. Why? I don't know. Happens, right? We're human. Maybe we didn't even know it got sold. Maybe it got thrown in last minute. Vision, added as a voluntary product. See if we get enough participation. Stuff like that happens all the time, right? But the front and the back end are now working together. If it's on your commission statement, there is a 99.9% chance that that's the client of yours, agency, and you're getting paid on it, right? You're getting paid. That means it's yours. There's always caveats, 99.9% of the time, right? So this is the source of truth. If I get paid, the carrier has determined that it's our client and that's our policy that we sold. And if it's missing, then we go back to the front end, the account managers, AEs, and we're like, oh, that got missed. Can you add that for me? Okay, so it's this beautiful marriage. I love it. Keeps the system more accurate, your data, gives you the ability to now do projections. And again, at the end of the day, if we don't have that, we're putting a lot of information in the system and we have no idea how that equates to revenue and profit. Enough said. All right, so overall, policy information, really important. Understanding fundamentally what are the minimum requirements? What's the nice to have? Are we tracking our estimated commissions or not? What value does that have to add that element, right? And all of that lives at the policy level. As I mentioned also, when I renew clone, all that carries forward. The renew clone policy button is getting bigger and it's getting better, right? That button that helps you with renewing your policies, all that carries forward. So again, even though your AEs and AMs have to build that in, they may have to know, they may have to learn a little bit. When we renew it, if there's no changes, if there's subtle changes, all of that can be copied forward, right? So we don't necessarily have to rebuild and put all that information in year to year to year. Okay, so trying to help as much as we can. We understand the manual process, but it's also the pros and cons. What's the benefit for the work? And then who's going to do the work? Here's something I do add in when we're doing our commissions training. So I create a list view. It's called a commission audit, and I leave it and I use it all the time. And when I'm helping clients doing auditing, cleaning up the system, the bare minimum requirements are right here in front of me. So if I change my carrier from Anthem to United Healthcare, right? Then I don't have to change anything. I keep my audit list view and now pivot, right? Now I can see all of it. So if I'm auditing a statement, this has to happen when I'm doing a whole new onboarding of the commissions app. Now I can quickly and easily use this one list view over and over again. I've got Anthem statement in front of me. Something's not matching. I'm missing policies. I can see it here. I can update. I can check and uncheck boxes. This is my commission posted checkbox. It's helping me identify what is potentially going to cause errors when I try to load this statement. Okay, and I just use this and I pivot back and forth. It's beautiful, right? I go back now, I'm auditing the Anthem statement. I can see I've got visibility. I build this for even the finance team. Really helpful. I can see what's going on. Do I have a policy that's mismatched? Maybe this one is not life and AD&D. Maybe it's accident. I can update right here. And again, I get visibility in all the really important fields I just mentioned. So one field, one record at a time is what I explained, but it's not efficient when I'm managing a large volume. List views help me do that, and I pull all the important information right in front of me. Okay, so policies, really critical. Last thing I want to mention before we move on, because we're running out of time, always do, is original line of coverage. Okay, so when we start thinking, we're moving now from what's on my policy to assigning my schedules. Do I have a payment schedule assigned? Payment schedules are who's getting paid and when. Okay, I'm going to back into some additional fields that we need. So payment schedules, you'll see I have now the ability to create a payment schedule. This is for Rachel. I may have Rachel and Mark and John. I can add as many payees as I need to split that up. Maybe John gets 10%, what did I say? Mark gets 10% of what's left and Rachel gets the sliver after what's the remainder. I can also assign it to agencies, internal, external. I can split it in a variety of ways. This is where we open up the flexibility of who gets paid what and when and how many and what and why, right? Now, maybe not why. But I open up a payee schedule and I can see. I'm going to decide. I've got all the variability now of saying who gets paid, and from where. Is it from premium? Is it from commission? Is it from the remainder of the commission? Is it after a specific person? You wouldn't believe how complicated some of these schedules can get, depending on how you're comping your producers. You also have an aging of the policy. So when do they get paid? First year, second year, third year? Does it change? Does it go up versus down versus first, second, or reoccurring or renewal? Okay, so we set this up and we build these out, right? I can assign it to a person or an agency. This is pulling in a contact or an account. So Rachel's in the system. And I build out all the different schedules that I might need, right? And then before I go to assign it, I'm going to pivot back to my policy record. An important field for us to know is how does the system track the aging of a policy? Getting back to my renew clone policy button. Okay. If I have a brand new policy, then we're building a brand new, right? I always say this when I'm training, new, right? And that original effective date, building it from scratch. Your original line of coverage effective date, that's what LOC stands for, is empty. When I renew the policy with the renew clone policy button, it's going to move that effective date down here once only. So it's going to start the aging of the policy. And every time I hit the renew clone policy button, this is now going to hold and this is going to update. So this is really important to know what is the purpose and why is it important? It tracks the aging of the line of coverage. Line of coverage meaning medical. If I sell a new dental, didn't have dental before, that's new, right? There's no history. But when I renew a policy, medical year after year, even if it's a replacement, the system is going to say you already had medical before. How old is the policy, the line of coverage? How long has this client had medical? That's what the original line of coverage. And the renew clone policy button does the work for us. Moves it down once, and now we've got aging. That's really important to know where the aging comes from, and it's this field. Now I can go and assign my payment schedules. And when I go into that payment schedule, it's telling me that first year, second year, third year, depending on the aging of the policy, this is how much Rachel's going to get paid. So it's sophisticated how this works. It's important to understand where all these components come from. How does it know when to pay Rachel and how much, right? It's going to look back. It's going to say, how old is it? Year one, year two, year three. And it's going to pay accordingly. Okay. So payment schedules, we get them built. I can go into my payment schedule then. And this is where I'm going to start using buttons. I love buttons and sometimes I don't love buttons. We got a lot of buttons. But I have to go inside the payment schedule and now I can mass assign. This is where I'm going to load. I'm going to grab every policy that Rachel is a producer on, and I'm going to find her here, and I'm going to search for all policies in the system. And I'm going to decide, this is a newer feature here, just FYI. Do I want to show records without any schedules? Do I want to show records without this schedule? Because again, I'm in this schedule, the Rachel Zeman payment schedule. Or do I want to show records with this schedule? So I can decide now. It's going to give me the search results. I hit search, it's going to give me a list. The idea here is it's pulling all the policy records from the system, and now I'm going to be able to mass assign all at once, one or the other, assign or unassign, depending on what I've selected here. Okay. I've only got without any schedule. This is a new policy. Doesn't have a schedule assigned. That's a problem. I'm going to go, and because Rachel is designated as the producer, I'm going to assign this schedule to that policy. So I can see assigned, unassigned, what's missing. This is where I can go through hundreds of records at once, get all those assigned. After I do that during onboarding, right, during the initial implementation, then we're going to only have to update what got missed, new policies. Okay. So assigning those schedules to those policies is critical. We can do that with that mass assign. If I pivot back to my payment schedule, I can see those assigned records in multiple ways. I can go and see, here's the schedule. I want to see all the policies that are assigned to that. I can even go into the policy and I can see it inversely. See ways I can see the same information different ways, just like standard Salesforce. I want to confirm that this policy has a payment schedule assigned. We're good. One of the recommendations, I'm going to pivot to reports here because we're almost out of time, is once I've done that, every month, if I'm the accounting person, the finance person, the person in charge of this, right? Then before we start posting commissions every month, I'm recommending to our current clients going through onboarding is that we have a folder for you already pre-built. Inside it, there's a payment schedule folder. Inside that, we have policies with and without payment schedule. Run this report before you start. I just assigned the last one. There was one on there. So this is going to be important. Before we start, step one, when I'm monthly posting commissions, go into your folder, find your payment schedule subfolder, run this report. It's going to give you a list of what's missing. If we BOR'd a bunch of groups, right? We have a bunch of policies now. Never got assigned. It's going to give me this list. I'm going to be able to go in. Then I'm going to be able to go back to my payment schedules, assign those, get all of those set. Then my report will be empty. Now I'm going to move on to step two. Okay. So highly recommend step one, before you start reconciling monthly, go run your report. See if anything got missed. Okay. I can also run the report if I go back to that. Oops. Something's weird's going on with reports and dashboards. I don't know if anybody noticed that. Did you see that? This is all new. I don't know if it's correct. It's just changed on us, Salesforce, or if this is some kind of a weird error. But anyway, so or I can run it with. So I can look at it both ways. We've already got them pre-built. What a great way, right? Don't have to touch the report. I can go in and I can see it. I can even see totals. I have some clients that send this off to their producers and go, "Oh, Rachel, guess what? You tell me. Is this correct? Do we have everything?" Right? Making some accountability, right? We're about ready to pay you. Are these all the clients that we should be paying you on, right? Are you assigned to the correct accounts and or policies? They can drill down in there. In addition, again, that marriage, front end, back end, get them engaged, get them involved, right? Give them that visibility. Everybody wants that, especially if you're paying these producers, right? Out of the comp of what you're receiving. Send them the report. Say, hey, this is what we're going to pay you. And maybe once a month, maybe give them and have them and subscribe them to the report. Even better. If you subscribe your producers, this is some of the benefits of managing your commissions within the same system as your agency management, your producers. If you subscribe your producers, I can subscribe Rachel to it. I'm going to say I want to give it monthly. I want it to be on the third Monday of every month. And I'm going to attach and I'm going to send it to me or somebody else. I can subscribe and I can say, do I want to attach a file? When do I want it sent to her? Maybe I want it the third Monday because that Friday is when we pay. Maybe that's when payroll runs. I want them to review it, and I want them every single month to get an email that says, your chance to review accuracy before I push send in payroll. Give them that visibility. This is great, right? Subscribing, really powerful when it comes to this producers. Get them engaged, have them, give them the visibility, give them the chance to review it. A lot less back and forth, right? Hand it to them, they hand it back. I want to see this, I want to see that. Give them access, right? Give them the visibility as much as you can. Assign those payment schedules. Those are the two most important pieces. We have to have our policy set. We have to have our payment schedules. Nice to have commission estimates if we have those as well. Third, top three, 1, 2, 3. Most important policy services. Second one, payment schedules. Who are we paying and what? Third one, commission estimates. Next session, we're going to talk then because we're ready. We're ready to roll once a month. Now we're going to show you how to upload statements. One statement, 160,000 entries, if that's the case, right? It's going to create that statement one record at a time. I open up that one statement record, which has a summary. You can even see I can post it to different banks. It's going to create every line item. Boom, 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 boom. This is the received. It's going to match my statement. This is my line item. Every row creates a commission entry. And because I have my payment schedule set correctly, right? Then within each one of those entries, it's going to split my comp. Boom. Rachel's getting paid $49.60. The house gets the difference. You notice that we don't have to put the house in. The house is default. So we're going to talk next session about loading statements. Now we're ready. We're going to load those. What's the benefit of loading it? Every line item. I don't have to manually post it in. I can manually enter if I need to. That's going to be something that's going to be improved upon this year. Once we have the statements, the system does all the work for us. The beginning part, every month, that audit, that reconciliation, that management is critical. Then we go post statements. We don't post statements and then audit. Otherwise, we're going backwards. It's going to get frustrating. If we do some auditing up front, we make sure our policies are in correctly, we've got our payment schedules, then importing the statements, which is just getting all that data in, is going to be a lot easier and there's less errors. And it's going to go boom, statement, commission entries, and payment schedules. Commission payments, sorry. And then lastly, we're going to show you additional reports. Oops, come on. Yeah, it doesn't, I don't know. It doesn't like analytics is overriding my, and then we're going to show you all the different additional reports. Once the data's in, then we can pull our monthly commissions and reconcile it against our bank statements. We can pay our producers. We can see the reports, give them visibility, give them, subscribe them, right? It's going to show that splits. Okay. I'm going to show you how that system does recognize the aging. We have additional audit reports, missing commissions. I was supposed to receive, but I never did, right? Or inversely, I have a commissionable policy. I never got paid. That's the most important one. Expected versus realized. How do I compare what I got from the carrier? And if I have it in my mapping, the premium, I can even see what the premium and the actual received versus what was I supposed to get. Did I get 5%? It said I was supposed to get 5%. Does 5% calculate correctly? Am I off? Do carriers make mistakes? Ha ha, they sure do. Do they audit their own books? They sure do. Do they adjust if they paid you too much? They sure do. Do they adjust if they underpay you? Probably not. So that's going to fall on you, right? Hey, United Healthcare or Anthem or Blue or whatever, we didn't get paid on this client, or we didn't get paid as much as we should have. The comp structure was wrong. We're going to help you with that, right? So the steps are we got to get everything in the system correct. Then we post commissions. Then we do the fun stuff, which is what can I see? Well, how do I find what's missing? How do I see cool stuff like our dashboard, our reports? What do we see? What do we want to do? We want to set an initiative where we will, oh, look, we're not selling as many ancillary. Let's create an initiative where we want to hit a goal of selling new products. Maybe we want to sell some more pet insurance. We want to level out the product portfolio. That's the fun stuff, right? But we got to get the data in first. And we're going to work on that. We've made some improvements with what we had before. 2025 was a big leap forward. We're going to make another gigantic leap again with some of the automation integrations, reconciliations, because all we really want to do at the end of the day is get it in. Get the data in, and then we can do the fun stuff. We can see what's going on with our business, and that is the most important thing. How much revenue are we bringing in for products, for clients, for size, for markets, for location? What are we missing? What do we want to enhance? What do we want to improve upon? How much of our total comp are we paying our producers, right? Was our comp structure correct? All that fun stuff. So thank you guys. Have a great day, and thank you again for joining us. This recording will be sent out after so you can review it at that time. All right. Take care. Bye-bye.